Hello students, welcome to this video lecture on the subject Basic Electronics. This is the subject for Diploma Electrical Engineering 3rd semester students. The subject code of which is EES3BE. Today I am going to discuss on transistor biasing, which is the continuation of my previous lecture on the same topic. Myself Gaur Gopal Jana, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management. In my today's topic, I will discuss the fixed, mainly three biasing configurations, that is fixed bias with emitter feedback and collector to base bias circuit and potential divider bias circuit. So these three types of biasing circuit will be discussed in today's lecture. So students, let us go to the topic. Transistor biasing with emitter feedback. This type of transistor biasing configuration, it is also called the self emitter biasing, uses both emitter and base collector feedback to stabilize the collector current even further. Okay, this is because resistor RB1 and RB1 and RE, as well as the base emitter junction, base to emitter junction, this base to emitter junction of the transistor are all effectively connected in series with the supply voltage VCC. Okay, the downside of this emitter feedback configuration is that it reduces the output gain due to the base resistor connection. Okay, this the collector voltage here determines the current gain through the feedback resistor RB1, which producing what is called the degenerative feedback. Okay, this producing the degenerative feedback. The current flowing from the emitter, that is IE, okay, which is the also combination of IC plus IB. Okay, this IE causes a voltage drop to appear across the RE in such a direction that is reverse bias the emitter junction. Okay, base to emitter junction. This voltage drop makes the reverse bias the base emitter junction. So if the emitter current increases due to the increase in collector current, the voltage drop IERE, actually IERE also increases. Since the polarity of this voltage reverse bias the base emitter junction, IB automatically decrease. Therefore, the emitter current increases less. Generally, resistor values are set so that the voltage dropped across the RE is approximately 10% of the power supply, that is VCC. Okay, and the current flowing through RB1 is 10% of the collector current IC. Thus, this type of transistor biasing configuration works best at relatively low power supply voltages. Okay. Now, the merits of transistor biasing with emitter feedback. The circuit has the tendency to stabilize operating point against change in temperature and beta value. Okay, so this is the advantage of this type of biasing circuit. And disadvantage, as beta value is fixed for a given transistor, this relation can be satisfied either by keeping RE very large or making RB, that is base resistor, very low. Okay. If emitter resistor RE is of large value, high VCC is necessary. This increases cost as well as the precautions necessary while handling. Okay, if RB is low, a separate voltage low voltage supply should be used in the base circuit. Using two supplies of different voltages is impractical. This is a demerits of this type of biasing circuit. And another disadvantage is the RE causes AC feedback, which reduces the voltage gain of the amplifier. So voltage gain reduces as the RE causes AC feedback. Okay. And what are the uses of the transistor biasing with emitter feedback? The feedback also increases the input impedance of the amplifier when seen from the base, which can be disadvantageous. Okay, due to the above disadvantages, this type of biasing circuit is used only with careful consideration of trade-offs involved. Okay. Now, and the collector to base bias circuit. Okay, this self-biasing collector feedback, this configuration is another beta-dependent biasing method, which requires two resistors to provide the necessary DC bias for the transistor. Okay, the collector to base feedback configuration ensures that the transistor is always biased in the active region, regardless of the value of beta value. Okay, the DC base bias voltage is derived from the collector voltage VC. Okay, so from this VC the DC bias voltage is derived. Therefore it provides good stability. Okay, in this circuit the base bias resistor RB is connected to the transistor collector C. Okay, instead of to the supply voltage VCC. So it connects with the collector terminal C. Now if the collector current increases, the collector voltage drop, reducing the base drive and thereby automatically reducing the collector current to keep the transistor Q point fixed. Okay, therefore this method of collector feedback biasing produces negative feedback around the transistor, as there is a direct feedback from the output terminal to the input terminal via RB resistor, via this resistor RB. Okay, as the biasing voltage is derived from the voltage drop across the load resistor RL, if the load current increases, there will be a large voltage drop across RL, which reduce the collector voltage VC. And this effect will cause a corresponding drop in the base current IB, which in turn brings IC back to its normal. Okay, so IC will stabilize. The opposite reaction will also occur when the transistor's collector current reduces. This method of biasing is called self-biasing with the transistor's stability using this type of feedback bias. This type of feedback bias network, which is generally good for most amplifier designs. Now the merits of this type of transistor biasing, that is collector feedback biasing. Okay, the circuit stabilizes the operating point against variation in temperature and beta. Okay, and demerits, as the beta value is fixed and which is generally unknown for a given transistor, this relation can be satisfied either by keeping RC fairly large or making RF very low. If RC is large, a high VCC is necessary, which increases cost as well as precautions necessary while handling. And when RF is low, the reverse bias of the collector base region is small, which limits the range of collector voltage swing that leaves the transistor in active mode. Okay, the resistor RF causes an AC feedback, reducing the voltage gain of the amplifier. This undesirable effect is a trade-off for greater Q point stability. And what are the usage? The feedback also decreases the input impedance of the amplifier as seen from the base, which can be advantageous. Due to the gain reduction from feedback, this biasing form is used only when the trade-off for stability is warranted. Okay. Now the potential divider bias circuit, or sometimes called voltage divider transistor biasing. This is the most commonly used arrangement for biasing, as it provides the good bias stability. Okay. In this arrangement, the emitter resistor RE provides stabilization. The resistor RE causes a voltage drop in a direction so as to which is a reverse bias the emitter junction. Since the emitter base junction is to be forward biased, the base voltage junction the base voltage is obtained from RB1 RB2 network. The net forward bias across the emitter base junction is equal to the VBE DC voltage drop across RE. And the base voltage is set by VCC and RB1 and RB2. The DC bias circuit is independent of transistor current gain. In case of amplifier, to avoid the loss of AC signal, a capacitor of large capacitance is connected across R. The capacitor offers a very small reactance to AC signal, and so it passes through the condenser or capacitor. Okay. This is the circuit diagram of potential divider bias circuit. Here the common emitter transistor configuration is biased using voltage divider network to increase the stability. The name of this biasing configuration comes from the fact that two resistor, that is RB1 and RB2, form a voltage or potential divider network across the supply, and with their center point junction connected to the transistor base terminal. This voltage divider biasing configuration is the most widely used transistor biasing method. Okay. The emitter diode of the transistor is forward biased by the voltage value developed across the RB1, RB2. Also, the voltage divider network biasing makes the transistor circuit independent of change in beta, as the biasing voltage set at the transistor base, emitter and collector terminals are not dependent on external circuit values. Okay. To calculate the voltage developed across resistor RB2 and therefore the voltage applied to the base terminal, we simply use the voltage divider formula for the resistors in series. Generally, voltage drop across this resistor RB2 is much less than the voltage drop across RB1. Here clearly the transistor base voltage VB with respect to the ground will be the equal to the voltage drop across this RB2. The amount of base current flowing through resistor RB2 is generally set to 10 times the value of the required base current IB, so that it is sufficiently high enough to have no effect on the voltage divider current or change in beta. Okay. So the goal of transistor biasing is to establish a known Q point for the bipolar transistor to work efficiently and produce an undistorted output signal. Okay. So correct DC biasing of the transistor also establishes its initial AC operating region with practical biasing circuits using either a 2 or 4 resistor bias network. In bipolar transistor circuit, the Q point or the operating point is presented by we know that VCE versus IC plot for a NPN transistor, or VEC versus IC for PNP transistors. And the stability of the base bias network, and therefore the Q point stability is generally assessed by considering the collector current as a function of both beta value and the temperature. So far we have looked briefly at mainly 4 types of biasing configuration or 4 types of configuration for transistor biasing using mainly resistive networks. Okay, but we can also bias a transistor using either silicon diodes, Zener diodes, or active networks which all connected to the transistor's base terminal. Okay. Also, we can correctly bias the transistor from a dual voltage power supply if so wished. Okay. Now the advantages of voltage divider transistor biasing. Here the operating point is almost independent of beta variation, and another merit is operating point stabilized against shift in temperature. And in demerits, as beta value is fixed for a given transistor, this relation can be satisfied either by keeping Re fairly large or making RB1 RB2 very low. Okay, the equivalent resistor of RB1 and RB2 is very low. If emitter resistor Re is of large value, the VCC is necessary. This increases cost as well as precautions necessary while handling. And if RB1 and RB2 equivalent of RB1 and RB2 is low, either RB1 is low or RB2 is low, or both are low. Okay, a low RB1 raises VB closer to VC, reducing the available swing in collector voltage and limiting how large RC can be made without driving the transistor out of active mode. A low R2 lowers VBE, reducing the allowed collector current. Lowering both resistor values draws more current from the power supply and lower the input resistance of the amplifier as seen from the base. Another demerits is that AC as well as DC feedback is caused by RE, emitter resistor, which reduces the AC voltage gain of the amplifier, and the usage are the circuit stability and the merits as above make it widely used for linear circuits. Okay, so this voltage divider transistor biasing is widely used for linear circuits. Now, if we summarize the points which I've discussed in last two lectures, then we can say the Q point is the best point for operation of a transistor for a given collector current. The purpose of biasing is to establish a stable operating point. Okay, and the linear region of the transistor is the region of operation within saturation and cutoff. And out of all biasing circuits, potential divider bias circuit provides highest stability to operating point among other biasing circuits. So these are the references used in this video lecture. Now, if you have any question regarding the topic discussed in this lecture, you may ask or you may raise your question through this email ID is mentioned here. So students, have a good day.